So for my initial site walk in Blendon Woods, I used two transect lines approximately 0.7 miles long. Flora and fauna species within a strip width of approximately 1.64 feet on either side were observed. An 8 megapixel Google Pixel 3 XL camera was used to record the species observed. I took a map of the park with me and measuring tape. I used two transect lines of approximately 0.27 miles and two transect lines of approximately 0.15 miles long in the Orchard Hill subdivision. Once again, flora and fauna species within a strip width of 1.64 feet were observed, and using the same camera. So I did my population study on leaves of the red maple, because leaves are the most responsive part of a plant. And leaves can indicate changes in the environment, such as light, water availability, temperature, nutrient availability, and soil type. My dependent variable was the location of the leaves that I measured, and my independent variable was leaf length measured in millimeters. How do individual leaf lengths of a population of red maple differ between Orchard Hill subdivision and Blendon Woods Metro Park? I took a notepad, pen, and I used my smart roller on my phone to measure red maple leaves. I randomly selected 8 red maple specimens and 10 random selection of leaves per specimen. I measured the leaf length from the tip to where the leaf joins the petiole and repeated this in each study area. For my data analysis, I transferred these measurements to an Excel spreadsheet and prepared my histograms. I calculated the sample mean, variance, standard deviation, standard error, and the 95% confidence interval for each sample. So my sample size in both sites were 80 leaves. My mean in Orchard Hill was 8.69 millimeters, and you can see my sample variance at 7.97 millimeters squared, my standard deviation at 2.82 millimeters, and my standard error was 0.32. My 95% confidence interval was 8.06 to 9.32 millimeters, and it is a pretty normal distribution, maybe with a slight left shift. For Blendon Woods, my sample mean was 6.95, variance 3.96 millimeters squared, standard deviation was 1.99 millimeters, my standard error was 0.22, and my 95% confidence interval was 6.5 to 7.39, with maybe a little bit better normal distribution. So we are 95% confident that the unknown population mean in Orchard Hill is between 8.06 to 9.32 millimeters, and in Blendon Woods, we are 95% confident that the unknown population mean falls between 6.5 to 7.39 millimeters. So the average red maple leaf length in late April is greater in the Orchard Hill subdivision than in Blendon Woods Metro Park. I decided to take a look at the ant species as well in both locations. I found carpenter and little black ants in Orchard Hill. The carpenter ants moved more slowly and were slightly longer than little black ants. In Blendon Woods, I found cornfield ants and false honey ants, and the cornfield ants moved faster than the carpenter ants that I had seen in Orchard Hill, and were about a quarter-inch long as well, and the false honey ants were a little bit smaller, as you can see in that image, the second image, at 1/8 of an inch long. So species richness in both locations were pretty equal, and my Shannon indexes were low for both locations, and the evenness in Orchard Hill was greater than that than Blendon Woods. So that probably means that the biodiversity in Orchard Hill is more even than in Blendon Woods Metro Park. However, I think I would need to take a greater sample in order to really be able to make that delineation. So soil type, nutrient and water availability, temperature, and light influence plant health. I expected red maple leaves to be longer in Blendon Woods Metro Park. Red maple leaves may be longer in the Orchard Hill subdivision due to greater water and light availability based on visual observations, as the canopy layer is less developed in Orchard Hill, and there appears to be old agricultural irrigation channels that are filled with water and overflow at times. Here are my references, and I can't wait to view everyone's presentations. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch.